Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this important awakening event. We are so glad to have you join us. I want to thank the very energetic and talented Lisa Gunshore for putting together this important event and for inviting me to be a part of it. If you're wondering why I'm wearing my headphones with a microphone, it's because for some reason Zoom will not pick up my voice today. So we're going to try this. All right. I also want to welcome you to this presentation titled Aware and Awake. If you don't already have your journal and a pen or some paper and pen handy, you're going to want to grab those now. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Helene Lizon. I'm a quantum writer, radical story changer, and transformation mentor who helps others create the life transformations they long for. I've always been an explorer of the inner realms, in awe of the great mysteries, and curious about what lies beyond the ordinary. I believe in tapping into my own fiery feminine energy to bring forth the fire from first spark to the world outside, and I guide others to do the same. Are you aware that you are a creator of stories, of paradigms, of worlds? Did you know that you can be a positive change maker for your own sake and the sake of the greater good? Are you aware of your own power and your ability to empower others? You might not be, because it hasn't been the talk of mainstream culture for us to be aware of such things. In fact, you may have to do a little digging to reconnect with the truth of who you really are. But oh my, once you do, it's transformational. It's revolutionary. Once you wake up to your true, authentic self, illusion falls away. You become a big picture seer, and your perspective of what's possible expands. You find that you can discern between what's true and what's not. And you might find that you can respond to emotional negative triggers in a more mature way, at a more mature level than was previous available to you, rather than just react to them. The good news is we all have the inner resources to grow our awareness and remember who we are. It's important to do this because there's an energy flow between awareness and awakening, and you need to be awake to live from your highest self. Saying that reminds me of the late Congressman and nonviolent activist John Lewis, who, before his recent passing, left us these guiding words. Though I am gone, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart. Well, in order to answer the heart's calling, you have to be aware and awake. And now is the time for it, if there ever was one. Changes are happening quickly. We are being called upon to operate from our highest selves, to be aware and awake and create while the opportunity is hot. Daily, we are bearing witness to this evolution, this awakening. We feel it in our cells. It's running through our DNA. We're talking it, walking it. We're singing it and bringing it. We're no longer being quiet about being defined and categorized by erroneous narratives about our separation. We know that all is one. We're in this together is no longer just something we say when a disaster or tragedy befalls us. It's becoming a felt truth. Our awareness has grown around seeing and empathizing with the life experiences of others. We're becoming more aware of shadow attributes of various archetypal characters and situations that are operating around us that do not embody harmony or act for the greater good. In fact, they've been out of balance and harmful to many of us individually and to the world as a whole. Whether you consider their negative impact on the planet or on a particular group of sentient beings. For example, it seems daily we have the opportunity to grow our awareness around the predator archetype that has had too big a role in our lives, on our planet, in our world. Most of us want to transform those shadow attributes into something positive and beneficial. We want to uncover the good stuff that's under the transformation. However, to diminish shadow traits in the world, you first have to go within and face and transform your own shadows. You need to do this to uncover the hidden gems that are there. You need to do this if you want to create transformation. As I've said, there is a flow between being aware and awake, and we need to expand our awareness, not just about what we see happening outside of us in the world, but also about what's going on in our inner worlds if we want to move forward. If we don't, the shadow will hold us back. One resource we have for going within is stepping into the explorer mindset and energy. By doing that, we can go within and tap into our inner knowing. All you need to do is maintain a sense of curiosity and a sense of childlike wonder. When you begin to explore at this level, at that depth, it's an adventure. But it takes courage too, because you don't know what shadows might come up within you. So you need to be aware of them and address them, transform them so that you can move on. The good news is that when you go in at this level, at this depth, the gift of it is coming to understand the principle of reciprocity. As within, so without. As above, so below. There is no separation. We are all one. The God force moves through us, and we move through it. No separation. We all have our favorite processes for going within, whether that is meditation, journaling, time in nature, drumming, dancing, and so on. But for now, let's use our journals to respond to an explorer prompt. I want to mention that journaling is not only beneficial for your emotional and physical well-being, but your journals become the record keepers of your life's journey. I often find when I observe my journals and go back, look through them, that a particular group of words or an image kept resurfacing, surfacing and resurfacing over a period of time. When that happens, I pay attention because I am always spirit journaling, always spirit writing in my journal. What do I mean by that? I mean that I silence the sensor and keep my hand moving and let whatever wants to flow from the inside out onto the pages of my journal emerging in whatever way it wants, whether that's with words or images. Okay, so for today's presentation, I want you to grab your journals, and we're going to do a little prompt that I call, "Who do you think you are?" So I want you, if you can, select 3 or 4 identifying words that you use when you're introducing yourself. And then immediately follow that with, if you can, 3 or 4 identifying words that you feel someone else would use to introduce you. And it's okay if some of the words from the first list appear on the second list. So go ahead and see if you can come up with those words. I'll give you a minute or two to go ahead and do that. Okay, next, below that list, I want you to see if you can think of 3 or 4 identifying personality traits that you would use to explain yourself to someone. And see if you can follow that by 3 or 4 personality traits that you think someone would use if they were explaining you to someone else. So again, I'll give you a minute or two to go ahead and jot those down in your journal. Okay, you can always go back and add to that list if you think of something more that you want to add. Remember that all of today's journal prompts are there to help you grow your awareness and start to discover who you really are. So you can always go back to them, fill in more information as you have time. I want to mention, if you missed my presentation, Creating Stories That Nourish and Sustain, during the June One Heart, One Earth global event, I would recommend that you go back and listen to that, because I included some journal prompts in that presentation that can be combined with today's exercises for helping you to go within and grow your awareness. All right, now let's have some fun. In a minute, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and envision that you are a shapeshifter and realm walker. Now, don't analyze those words or worry about their meanings right now. In this exercise, you want to go with whatever arises. Whatever image comes up when your eyes are closed, you want to go with that. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and close your eyes now. I'll call you back when it's time. We'll take a minute or two. So go ahead, close your eyes, relax, envision yourself as a shapeshifter and realm walker. Okay, go ahead and jot down what came up for you, adding it to your journal page. You notice with this exercise, we moved from being the explorer into being the visionary. Now remember, this exercise wasn't about the logical. This was mystery. Think of yourself as playing in the field of the mysterious. So go ahead, jot down a few notes. All right, what do I mean by shapeshifter and realm walker in this exercise? What I mean is you are not just a surface being. You are more than meets the eye. You are not just a daughter or a brother. You're not just your physical appearance or your outward characteristics. I want you to envision for a minute that you are both nature and quantum, both grounded and multidimensional, both physical form and spiritual essence. That might sound odd, but it is who you are. Take a second now to look over your who do you think you are drill down list. Look at the response, look at what you wrote to the responses or your responses to the prompts so far. You might notice words that describe you by your appearance, by your personality traits. Most likely, you're going to see some words that describe you as an everyday person, just like the rest of us everyday people. And then you might see some words that are a little more unique in experience that came from that last prompt. You might not even know what they mean. might be something that you have to explore further, to reflect or meditate upon. What's important here is that you are aware you're more than your everyday self, that there are other layers to you. And when you tap into your inner knowing, you meet those other layers. From there, you can remember who you are. You are both physical form and spiritual essence, a quantum dimensional, multi-dimensional being. And because of it, you are a shapeshifter and a realm walker, living from your highest self when you flow back and forth and create a balanced existence from the inside out. For too long, most of us were expected to operate as if we were only our surface identities. Perhaps you could be a kind-hearted engineer and a mother, or a too loud accountant and a brother, but you weren't encouraged to add your deeper truths into that mix. Things such as you commune with nature, you practice energy healing techniques, you're intentionally trying to fulfill your soul purpose. There was a time, and it exists still in some places, where integrating the full you was frowned upon. For instance, in the workplace, a company may have required employees to give up their full identities to the company just for the privilege of working there. The same can be said of different groups and organizations. And the same can be said when we are categorized or labeled by such things as where we live, our ages, our race, whether we are mothers or fathers, men or women, students, and so on. When you wake up to your authentic self, though, your multidimensionality, you can transform yourself. You can show or model that you are not just your surface identity. In fact, when you tap into that power, when you know that truth, you live from a more empowered place. Remembering who you are allows you to integrate the whole you. And you're able to manage your physical presence, your everyday self, from a more empowered place. As I mentioned earlier, you are a creator of stories, of paradigms, of worlds. That is very powerful. And I want to help you expand your awareness around that important and empowering truth. Not surprisingly, while I was working on this presentation, an Eckhart Tolle quote popped into my inbox. He said, "Awareness is the greatest agent for change." So there you have it. To create change for yourself and the world, you need to be aware. And the more aware you are, the more empowered you become. So I want to end with 2 exercises to help you envision what it is you would truly like to create. You are still being the visionary with these exercises. Because you are a part of the natural world, you can turn there for guidance as needed. I am a cloud spotter. I do cloud therapy as needed. The great thing about clouds is they are available to everyone equally. They give us visions. They share stories. I have over 200 or 300 cloud photos now, but for this prompt today, I'm going to use an image from a deck I have, a beautiful deck called Cloud Dancing. Now, when I bring up this image, I want you to just close your eyes for a second, then open them and look at the cloud and let whatever wants to arise come forth. See if you get an image of a story. If there's some story playing out when you look at this, maybe it's something that models a new way of being for you. All right, so I'm just going to hold up the card and let you do that now. We'll take a minute or two. These are laminated cards, so let's see if I can get that for you so that you don't get too much reflection. I think that's okay. So go ahead now. Just observe the image and see if you see a story in it. Okay, I'm going to give you a minute to write down what came up for you in your journal. Now, if you had trouble having any images come up for you while you were observing that image of the cloud, no worries. You can always step outside later and get your image by looking at the cloud people in your sky. So go ahead and I will give you a minute to go ahead and make some notes in your journal. Okay. Remember, you can always go back and fill in details as needed. We're going to move right into our last exercise. Again, we're working on envisioning, on being the visionary. This time, I want you to relax, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and I want you to envision yourself in your favorite spot in nature. We're going to take about 3 or 4 minutes for this exercise, maybe 3. It'll be very short. You can think of it as just a glimpse into visioning in this setting. So you're going to go to your favorite place in nature. You're the only person there. The weather is just how you like it. It's very peaceful. And while you're there, I want you to just let whatever arises come to you. Maybe you'll see an image, or maybe someone will come to greet you. Before you begin, I want you to set an intention, because you're moving to grow your awareness and to awaken who you are, and you want to eventually create a world that benefits you and the greater good. So for this exercise, perhaps set an intention to be shown something that would guide you to create a personal world in which you thrive. And then ask also to be shown something that would help you create a world that benefits the greater good. And of course, these two worlds would overlap eventually, because we know that there is no separation. You can write your intention down in your journal so that you don't forget it if you're going back to this later. You may see something when you close your eyes as you meditate that you were expecting, or something might surface that completely surprises you. I love that. It's so yummy when that happens. So if you're done jotting down your intention in your journal, then let's begin the meditation. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and move into that perfect nature setting. I will call you back when it's time to open your eyes. Okay, welcome back. I'm going to give you a minute to write in your journal. You can jot down some quick notes to record what you saw. Remembering that you can always go back and fill in greater detail later. Or if you got called back too soon, which usually happens, you can go back into the meditation later. Okay. Remember that all of today's journaling exercises are really just a prompt, something to get you started on going deeper within to grow your awareness. So you may want to go back to these and continue your work. You may even want to take a workshop or a class to help you explore further. As I get ready to wrap up this presentation, I want to remind you that you are multidimensional beings and there are many possibilities residing within you. It's up to you which one of those or how many of those you want to bring to life. Keep in mind you are a creator of stories, paradigms, and worlds. What stories will you tell? What will you model for others? What world will you help create? We are all storytellers and creators. Our narratives manifest our personal and collective worlds. So tell good stories. I hope that by remembering the truth of who you are, you feel empowered, that you become a conscious creator, and that you create responsibly for yourself and for the world. Let's keep the conversation going. My contact information and some other materials can be found on the One Heart, One Earth facilitator page. I hope that the audio difficulties we're having today won't be too much of a disturbance. I want to thank you for being here. Please stay in touch. Many blessings, everyone.
What is life? What is death? What am I doing here? Who am I without?
I sat up in bed and I realized in that instant of sitting up in bed and breathing, I went, like this breathing in air. I realized I hadn't been breathing the whole time that I had been in this experience. And I made that sound so loudly, it woke Tony up. And he sat up and said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I said, "I don't know, but my life will never be the same again."
It got bigger and bigger and brighter and brighter. until it was filling in every direction, and it was made up of lights and flames and white, and just got closer and closer, and then all of a sudden it hit me.
But suddenly there was like this kind of like this portal just opened, that there I could just sense that I have access to all the information in the universe.
So I had like this very deep connection with my team, offered up this prayer, and within like 2 months, my entire life fell apart. So, Spirit doesn't mess around. And when you ask, it is always given.
And then in that dream, I understood that what I am is mirrored throughout the whole cosmos, that I'm part of all of that. I am literally part of everything in the cosmos, and all of that is part of me. It can be seen by me through these mirrors. And so I felt like this web of life, you cannot unplug from it. You cannot get out of it. No matter what you do, you are in it, and it is glorious. And all of that energy and potential and creativity and possibility is ours. And that all of the universe is reflected in our very being, in our very selves. And everything that we are is reflected throughout the whole universe too. There is no separateness. There is no such thing as anything being separate.
2020, what a ride. My life is 100,000 times better than I ever imagined it could be.